Hello, welcome everyone to our podcast series. I, Kia Bhargavi, Photography Club Head of JNMC Wardha. Welcome Dr. Aditi Garg as our speaker for today's episode. She has achieved a marvelous rank of 1666, and today's episode is going to be about her journey throughout MBBS life. Would you like to introduce yourself, ma'am?
I'm Dr. Aditi Garg. I'm from Delhi. I'm a student of 2017 batch of JNMC. I've recently completed my internship. I'm really proud of my juniors for starting this initiative, and thank you for inviting me for the first episode of this podcast.
Welcome on board, ma'am. How does it feel to have such an amazing achievement?
Honestly, it still feels unreal because I wasn't expecting this at all. I mean, throughout my preparation, I had a dream to achieve this rank, but then, like, even after 1 month of the results, it's all like still unreal. So I'm very happy.
Before we get further into what all score did you had and how did you prepare and everything, I think everybody would like to know a little bit about yourself, about your childhood. Would you like to just give a little gist of your life in general?
Okay, so I'm from Delhi. My dad is a mechanical engineer and my mom is a homemaker. And I love studying. Apart from that, I love playing the guitar. I have a lot of interest in music. So that is what I love. And
where did you do your schooling from?
I completed my schooling from Sri Venkateshwar International School.
That's in Delhi, right? Yeah. Okay, so basically, your complete education before college has been from Delhi.
Yeah.
So, how was the shift from Delhi to South Delhi?
It was, to be honest, it was very difficult because all my life I've lived in Delhi. Before this, I'd never lived away from home. So it was kind of difficult to, like, adjust to my surroundings, adjust with new people in my life, adjust to the new, all of this. And it was difficult, but then I feel I did kind of adapt to the surroundings and eventually it became better.
That's definitely like a huge shift of paradigm when you come from metropolitan cities. And
That's true.
Yeah, so did you plan to like come from Delhi to Maharashtra, or like this college was a little surprise to you?
Yeah, it was because like during my UG days, I did not have, a lot of kind of this a direction as to, how to study and everything. So I wasn't very well prepared. And that time I didn't know a lot about the colleges and everything. So after the like results and all, we tried a lot to like, for the counseling and all. And eventually I got into this college. It was my first preference in my choices as well. And when I was allotted this college, I was very happy because at that point, yeah, I was, because at that point my only motive was to get into
Just get into
MBBS.
MBBS, yeah.
Because it was always my dream to,
Absolutely.
do MBBS. So yeah, I was
I
very
think
happy
that
with
brings this one question which a lot of students might be wondering, like, did you prepare your 11th, 12th from those typical coachings, or
Yeah, I had joined Akash and I used to prepare from that.
so did you like take dummy school, or you were a regular
No,
student?
I was a regular student. I had PCMB, so I had like
It's so hard to remember.
yeah, so I could not like very well, just manage everything at that time.
Yeah. So did you take any drop year as well?
No, I didn't.
You did not. So I think you did mention that your dad's from engineering background, but are you like a first generation doctor in it?
Yeah, I am. Because like nobody in my family is a doctor, so I'm the first doctor. And it was something that was always like I don't remember thinking of anything else, in my life. Like since I was a kid, every time anybody asked me that, what do you want to do? I don't know. It was like always I said that I want to be a doctor. So it was just something that is there in my head since I was a kid. So yeah, it has been my dream.
Do you mind sharing your UG score? Like, do you even remember that?
Yeah, I scored around 357 in my NEET UG and I had a rank of 1 lakh.
I mean, in 2017, definitely, and like now, if you get that score, it's like in three, I think 3 lakhs or something. Like it has shifted. It has shifted a lot. During your year, it was very less amount of students. Like I remember the year I gave, it was 17 lakh students.
Yeah, every year the competition is increasing.
It's increasing a lot. But like there are a lot of colleges in vicinity to the north as well. Uh, what was your thought process while it's like shift in the whole, like it comes in the west region. So what was your thought process like? Why not North over this college?
Yeah, because actually there were not a lot of options which were available there, and Maharashtra is a state which has the maximum amount of medical colleges. So that is why, my main focus was to get into a college into Maharashtra because it's a big state. It has a lot of colleges as well. So yeah.
Okay, so do you have any other siblings studying over here, or like just counselor said and you got in?
Just the counselor said and I got in. Like he told me it's a good college.
Yeah.
So that is why I kept
Even
it.
back then it was A plus, right? Like,
Yeah.
okay. So let's talk about how did your first and second years went in this college. So
Yeah, so I think my first year went in like, just adapting to the surroundings because everything was so new and making new friends, talking to people, learning the culture of the state. And also, I think half of my first year passed by in this only.
I think one thing that I want to ask, like, how did you adapt to the shift of like language?
Yeah, it was very difficult, but thankfully I had a roommate who is a Maharashtrian. So, she used to teach me some of the things in Marathi. So that was like kind of that helped me.
Like I'm in my third year and all I can say is Kuthe and Madhe.
Yeah, so like that was I got some help from there because she was a Maharashtrian. So yeah, it was a bit difficult.
Like, it's weird for me now that I go back to Delhi. And I once remember I was crossing this lane and the guy was standing over there and I was like, Bhaiya, Dr. Lal Patlap Kuthe. And he just stared at me. He's like, what did she say? It's like, then it's hard for you to not speak Marathi because it just becomes a part of your lingo.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So, yeah, you were talking about your first year experience.
So first year, like I think my like half of the year passed in like just adjusting to these surroundings and everything. Then we had our GFC. Like the moment we entered this college, the GFC was going on. So in that time we came to know about a lot of people in our batch, and like that is when I started making friends and all. And then the other half, I was like, okay, now we need to study because we need to pass the PCTs and everything. So yeah.
I mean, now that like discussing it with you, our first year was so different than yours because we are from COVID batch.
Yeah, right.
So first year, I didn't even realize, like by the end, it started to feel like, oh, we're getting to know our batchmates by the end of the year.
Yeah.
And second year for us was more like a first year. There was no GFC or anything at all. So I think for your batches, it was easy to like socialize.
Yeah.
In those terms, I think you guys used to get into your admission process in like September.
Yeah.
And used to have your GFC in like October or something.
Yeah.
So it's like you're just so new into the college and you just sort of make friends with everyone, right?
True.
So do you still have that friend group that you had in like your first year?
I mean, not anymore. But yeah, it's fine. Like I'm still in good terms with people and all.
Yeah.
It's fine. But yeah, like your friendships keep changing over the years, and it's a part of your life.
Yeah. I think one of the questions that a lot of students that I've talked to is in terms of socialization.
Yeah.
They do struggle. Even I've experienced that, unfortunately. So what was your experience in that term?
See, honestly speaking, I'm kind of an introvert person, and like I've not always been that introvert. But I feel after coming here, obviously it was very overwhelming with so many students around you, and that was the first time I was interacting with so many people. So I kind of became more of an introvert. But then, yeah, I've always been someone who has had like a limited number of friends. I've never had a big group around.
But like I totally understand. Like even for me, I'm in Delhi and I'm like this different person, and when I'm here, it's like I don't even try, and it's a little slow.
That's true.
So may I ask, like, when you were preparing in 11th and 12th, what was your like dream college?
See, living in Delhi, everyone's dream college is NExT Delhi. So that was my dream college. But then I could not get into that college, and that was always like I had two colleges in mind: NExT Delhi and Maulana Medical College. So like every time I used to pass by those colleges, I used to just look at them, and I was like, I wish I could be in those colleges.
I just see those Akash posters like AIMS, MAMC, AIMS, MAMC. And when I was a kid, I was not very well aware about like medicine. I used to ask my dad, what does MAMC mean? Because for us, AIMS was like the thing.
Yeah.
And even MAMC was like, no. And then you realize, oh, MAMC is such a huge thing.
Yeah.
And then you get to know how hard it is to get into that.
Like, after the exam, I got to know, okay, that this is so hard. Yes. Like, I was not aware of the entire process and everything.
I think that is one of a negative when you're first generation doctor. Exactly. Even for me, like now that we get to know that what privileges doing UG from your home
Yeah.
state does,
True.
the reservation that they are getting for the
That's
PG
true.
seats, and it sometimes feels so unfair that if I was known before,
Exactly.
I would have prepared in a better strategical way. And I think that is where a lot of us lack. Like, we are not, it's like we do have a knowledge about it, but we don't have a precise knowledge about it. And like, I think if you want to crack any examination, you need to be very specific with your goal, right?
Because like this year, like after my result came, I was going through the lists and everything. So that is when I realized that okay, like people who are doing that like UG from Delhi
Yes.
and all, and all of these states, they get a lot of reservation in their PG as well. And that was when I was wondering, I wish I had
I
known
think,
all of
yeah,
these things during my
we
UG
had this
days.
conversation that like even till date we have this confusion whether we're
Yeah.
going to get the quota or not,
True.
and unfortunately we are not going to
Yeah.
get the quota. Every state has its own terms and
Yeah.
restrictions. So coming from a non-medical background as a family, it is way too much, and the probability of you not finding the right path is more, unfortunately. So yeah, that is there. Anyways, coming back to the part of socialization.
Yeah.
So yeah, so how was your first and second year in general about it?
Yeah, so my first and second year, like I think, yeah, as I said, half of the year went by and getting to know people, adjusting to the surroundings and everything. Then the other half, I was like, okay, now we need to study. So that was when I started studying, and anatomy was a subject that I used to like dread the most. So till date, I feel that it is the subject that I'm the weakest in because I used to find it very difficult. So
It is like surprisingly, all of our seniors said when I was giving my patho exam that patho 2 is the nightmare of your life. And I gave the exam, I was like, no, anatomy was. I just don't know how I even passed my anatomy exams.
Exactly. Till now, I wonder that, how did I even pass anatomy in my first year?
Yeah.
So, like, it
You
is
know, when now juniors approach and they're like, ma'am, you have to prepare for practicals. And then when you start telling them about, and then you're like, shit, it has like a lot of like you have to prepare for the body, for the bones and everything. I don't think when the further you progress in rest of any subject, you have to do so much. So,
and like it, and also it's a very important subject because in final year when you study surgery, you need to know the anatomy of every part. So that is when I realized, like in my final year, that yes, anatomy is very important.
Even
because-
ma'am, I don't think that just surgery, now that we like CDME batches are having when professors come and teach, so they have this vertical way of teaching. And at that point, say for example, yesterday we were taught about there was this professor from gynecology, she came and they moved, like the first thing that they gave us in brief is anatomy of the whole body structure. So I think now, especially given the change of education pattern in medical education pattern, anatomy is such an innate part.
It's a very important subject.
You just can't like, okay, no, I don't like it, you can't do that with anatomy.
So that was there. Like I took all sorts of book. Like I even had Grey's Anatomy. I had Netter's Atlas. I had every possible thing.
That brings me to the point. Like before MBBS, like I've seen a lot of students are influenced by those American dramas of Grey's Anatomy and all that stuff. Were you a fan of?
No, I wasn't. No,
even I don't find, like, especially with Grey's Anatomy, what their project and what medical life, they're like very, very, very different. But like, did any there is that one, like for me it was The Good Doctor, that has a great influence because the way they project the whole human anatomy and everything is really amazing. Were you a person who got influenced with?
No, I wasn't. Even like I was not into watching series and all, but like the one thing that from the beginning itself, I always wanted to be a doctor. But then there were certain incidences in my life which inclined me more towards this field. So whenever like your grandparents fall sick, people at your home fall sick. So that is when you realize that okay, I should get into this field.
So basically, you don't like that feeling of helplessness.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, that this is something I always wanted to do. So yeah.
So like I always envy those people who since childhood knew that they would do that, and I guess you are one of those people. So yeah, we were talking about anatomy.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell me more about it.
Yeah, so like we had a professor during our time, Dr. Gajpe ma'am. She has been like an inspiration for all of us because the way that she used to teach, it being the most difficult subject, but the way that she used to teach us, I feel she is literally like she has been the best professor. And so, that was when I started developing a little interest. So I had all of these books. Like the main source was like, as all of us use BD Chaurasia. So that was the main source. But then I had these atlas, like Netter's Atlas and all of those as well. Because like since first year itself, I've been someone who's always focused on like standard textbooks. I've like not gone behind the shortcut books that we have. So I think that is also what helped me, because I feel that when you give this exam, it's not just that 1 year of your preparation during your internship. Yeah. It's kind of a cumulative effort of like your entire 5.5 years. Yeah. So so I used Gray's Anatomy and Netter's Atlas and all of these things, because I feel in anatomy, the more you see things, you get to learn more. So
Like, this is a very interesting conversation because I remember one of my friend, he was a single digit rank in AIMS PG examination. Yeah. So they were having this interview session and everybody was trying to ask, oh, what books or what preparation material did you use and everything. And he just had like, and surprisingly, he was first year student only who was like, sir, what all books do you use and everything. And he just looked at him straight by and he was like, your PG preparation doesn't start by purchasing those books, but it starts in the DT hall when you're sitting and you're reading those books. It's like all of those little details that you store up. And one day, and that is very interesting because in first year or even by far, like a lot of students, what I've observed have very much their paradigm of focus is university exams or their coming PCTs. So they don't. It is very rare to like find students who purchase an international book and carry it forward. Like usually just in their shelves and they're not able to make time for it. And when they see everybody studying from those so-called shortcut books, it's hard for you to like stay in that path. And it takes a lot of time as well, given we have a very hectic schedule. So did you like not study from BDC at all?
No, I did.
Okay.
But then for my university exams, like initially, like I used to use it like Gray's Anatomy, Netter's Atlas. Whenever I was not understanding something, I used to refer to it. So to like visualize things and also that I can retain those things better. So that was what I did for anatomy.
Yeah. And even on Gajbe ma'am, we recently had the chance, we went to DMMC and we met her. And my batch was the first batch, like she left on our batch. So all of us seniors are like, oh, we have this amazing anatomy professor and everything. And we used to feel like, why are we so unlucky? And it was so disheartening every time we talk to a senior, they're like, oh, Gajbe ma'am taught us. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was.
And we're like, we didn't get to experience that, but definitely you would. So, yeah, talking about the other subjects.
Yeah, so coming to physiology, I used Guyton for physiology. And I feel till date like my concepts are good because I read Guyton. And it was not that I read it like page to page, but then yeah, like most of the part I read it from there. So physio, I think it's more of, kind of getting the concepts right, because once you get the concepts, you won't forget those things. It's all about those graphs and everything, which are there in Guyton as well as Genome.
Let's talk about freshers. Yeah. We did not, unfortunately, we were COVID batch. I have not experienced my college life freshers.
That's sad.
I know, but I would like to know how was your experience about it?
Yeah, so like at that time we were very new to everything. So I play the guitar.
Yes.
So we like made a band of us, like we just texted on the group that to all other people who are interested in like singing and playing guitar. So we had like a group of like I think 5 to 6 people, and that is when all of us met, all of us introduced ourselves for the first time, and we formed a kind of a band, and then we decided what all we had to play. So I feel that was like one of the best moments that I've had here, because I loved so much like playing the guitar, and it was something like I played it for the first time on like a stage like that, because I hadn't done that before. So it was very overwhelming for me. But
so like then, you guys had your freshers POD?
Yeah, we had it in POD.
Okay, that's like, and that was a one-day event?
Yeah, it was a one-day event.
And it's usually like 16 batch might have given it to you, right?
Yeah.
I have always seen like 17 and 16 batch, and I envied the bonding that your batch had. That's something that I like. I have amazing seniors, definitely, but those two batches are something I look up to for. Yeah. So, was there any? Did you take participation in those pageants and everything? Were they there at that
We
time?
didn't have that at
You
that
didn't?
time. Yeah.
So basically, it's just the singing, dancing,
Yeah, all of
communication
those
stuff.
things like the badge dance and everything.
Oh, there was a
Yeah,
batch
yeah.
dance on your freshers?
Yeah.
That's interesting. What song, like what category is it, like whatever you want?
Just Bollywood songs and everything, where all of us were there and
That sounds so much of fun. And then, so basically, it's like before GFC or after freshers?
No, it was up like the time we joined the college. At that time, GFC was going on. So like after some time, after a few months, I guess we had our freshers.
So it's like freshers followed by GFC.
Yeah, GFC followed by freshers. Yeah.
That's like just fun.
Yeah.
That is.
So the first year was like all of like fun and getting to know people and everything. So
I want to redo my first year with 17 batch. Please take me back. Yeah. So freshers, GFC, and like in GFC, there used to be like state-wise. You know, I have not.
No, we didn't have some like statewide or something like that.
You did
at
not?
that time. No.
Like nowadays, like last year it was like
Okay, those dances and everything, right?
So like the committees form, state committees form and everything.
Yeah.
And I've seen some of your pictures, like it's like the whole tent is there.
Yeah, it used to be amazing. Like I think that is the best time of this college, like those 10 days. You get to enjoy so much.
10 days of
Yeah. And you get to have so much of fun. So I think that's the best part of this college.
How was your interaction with the seniors?
Yeah, so we had like the main interaction that we had with our seniors was mainly during the GFC time because they used to organize all the dances and everything. And like, so that was when we got to know our seniors and we had amazing seniors.
Yeah, you did
So,
definitely.
yeah, so it was great interacting with them. They used to help us with the studies as well. They used to mark important topics for us, like, and we used to only study those topics like during our PCTs and everything.
It has, I think, over the time, it has changed a lot.
Okay.
In many terms. First, let's just talk about how seniors used to give just IMPs and used to study from there. Now in CBME batches, neither my senior can give it to me nor I can give it to my junior because the schedule has and the whole education system has changed so much that we do not have any concept of IMPs anymore. Yeah, so I think we have talked enough about how was your paradigm shift from school life to college life. But one thing that is so important when you especially come to college and how you become as a future clinician is the mentor that influences you a lot. So what was, do you want to talk about? Yeah.
So I feel throughout my journey, I think there's been one person who has inspired me a lot and I really look up to him, and that is Dr. Shaurya sir.
He's the god.
Yeah, he definitely is. I mean, during our final year, he used to take our clinics in medicine, and I never missed a single class of his because the things that he used to teach us in the clinics, I still remember all of those things. And after, like, he used to teach us, we didn't even have to go through the books because he covered literally everything.
Yeah.
And then in our final year, sir takes panel discussions.
Okay.
So what happens in these discussions is that, for every week, there's a set of 10 people who are like, they are in a panel. And we are given a topic, and then everyone has to ask those people questions about that topic.
Okay.
So we have to be like well prepared with
That's
that
a
topic.
very interactive way. And
It's
given you were from
exactly.
non-CBME batch at that time, it was not a part of curriculum. That is a huge initiative that you took.
Exactly. And through those panel discussions, we literally covered the entire syllabus. So, at the end of it, we were like, oh, we've like just covered the entire
Yes.
syllabus. So
You don't
it
even
was
realize like how
exactly.
smooth the medicine gets with him.
So he has literally been, and not just for me, I feel for every person of our batch, he has been like the inspiration.
He
for
is the
us.
OG definitely. When you come and all you hear from seniors is, I don't think there's even a single student in our university that does not know about
Yeah,
Shaurya sir.
exactly. And I would literally tell juniors, do not miss a single clinic of Shaurya sir, do not miss a single class of Shaurya sir, do not miss any panel discussion of Shaurya sir.
I honestly think if you're good at a subject or if you're a bad at a subject, that is not your fault or your brain. That's total responsibility of a teacher. And at that part, I think he does the deliverable at such a perfect and a right way that students have this respect for him. At the same time, they're scared of him, but then they want to work with him. And so it's like he has magic.
He has.
Kudos.
Even after my result, like he was the first person I went to,
Yeah.
to tell about my result, and he guided me that what all should I take, and also I look up to him and I really like admire him.
And I think when you have a mentor or something, it just motivates you in a very different way that, oh, I want to achieve this, so I can go and tell him about it and how proud he might, like he or she, whoever your mentor is. So it's so important to have a mentor in medicine. I especially feel like it definitely shapes your ethics and everything.
Even during my final year, like during my final year exams as well, I went through a bad phase. Like I could not cope up with the stress and all. And during that time, I visited Shaurya sir, and he helped me a lot to to like calm me down and everything. He was like, it's just this, it's the stress of your exams and everything. So he helped me a lot at that time as well.
My final year is coming and I am scared about it. I see seniors struggle with it, the good ones, and
Yeah,
like I don't think there's a single person on this universe
it
who
is
has gone
stress.
through his final year of their MBBS and they did experience those anxiety and everything. And I think we will cover anxiety in detail in
Yeah.
later part as well. I guess let's just jump right into the part which everybody is very much excited about. Let's talk about your preparation phase from the scratch. Like um, in your first year, when you make friends, you talk about, oh, I want to be a surgeon, I want to be a clinician, I want to be a physician, and everything. They have so different like I want to do ME, I want to do PLAB, I want to do NEET PG. So was your vision like this? Like, oh no, you know what? I want to focus on NEET PG.
Yeah.
So were you that kid, or you were also confused in your first year, like which path to choose and go ahead for?
Actually, I feel I was a bit confused, like when I entered MBBS, that what exactly do I want to be in India? Do I want to go outside? So I was initially kind of inclined towards USMLE, and in my first and second year, I read all the resources, which people who prepare for USMLE read. And also, I feel that those resources also helped me in my NEET preparation. So, like, I was inclined towards that. But then COVID came, and then we were like stuck at home for like maybe a long time. I feel more than than a year or so. And that was when I realized, okay, maybe I want to stay close to my parents. I want to stay in India. So that is when I changed.
That is so interesting. A lot of students, a lot of my friends that I know, they had such huge shift in their vision of what they want to do in life. And like talking about, like strictly speaking about medicine field, I had a friend, he was studying at UCLA and he was a chemistry honors. COVID happened and he dropped out and he joined a medical university. And a lot of seniors, they wanted to become surgeons and orthoped, and then they were like, no, we. It's just I think COVID did a lot.
It did a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
And especially in terms like, do you want to go overseas or not? So that decision. But like, did you give your step one?
No, I did.
I did not.
No.
Okay. So all those preparation, but like later on, they helped.
Yeah, that helped me a lot because during my, I used all these resources like there's Pathoma, there's Sketchy Micro, there's Osmosis.
I think Sketchy Micro is so important, even for university exam, because student like me, I struggle so much with mugging up a lot of information, and micro comes unfortunately with that. And Sketchy is so important if you want to systematically get things. Like even right now, if you talk about Vibrio cholera, I remember those paddy fields right in front of me. I don't know if you remember that or not. I see that how he represented that rice water stools and everything, and it's so nice that you're. And I think it is so important while you have to experiment with things. There's some people who are so good with memories, they don't need it. And there are people like me who struggle a lot with it. And that's when I realized maybe picturizing things are helping
me. When you see something, you retain it better.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So even for future things, so like now Vibrio cholera is not Vibrio cholera for me anymore. It's the image that's sketching me.
Yeah, that's true.
I remember before my university exams, I used Sketchy and their Anki notes. So what I did, like Sketchy notes, I transferred them into Anki notes and I used to like flash them.
Yeah.
Like literally like 20-30 times right in front of me so that I can just get right on my head, and it helped a lot, definitely a lot. So I don't think even if you experiment in your first 2 years that I want to do USMLE, it's not a waste at all.
It's not a waste at all because the resources of USMLE are so good, they're so good that it will definitely help you in your NEET PG prep as well.
Yeah, I mean, it surely comes with that confusion that I am not sure that I want to do NEET PG or not. So you sometimes might feel like, oh, I wasted a few years preparing USMLE. I might have, because there's a race. There's definitely a race. You might feel like, oh, if I started from an NEET PG preparation from first year, I might be ahead than this person or that person.
But like honestly, I feel your first and like I see the trend is shifting nowadays. Like people even in first and second year, they're going behind these coaching apps and all.
I was so shocked to see my first year juniors had Maro subscription, and I till date do not have it.
Exactly, like some people in first year, they like, they were just asking me how to study and all, and they were like, should we buy Maro? Should we buy these coaching apps? I was like, no, you do not need these coaching apps in first and second year. You need to get your basics right. And for that, you need to, read your standard books. You need to experiment with these resources.
Absolutely right. Like you purchase a whole subscription and you might not like, I mean, for pharmacology, you do need GRP for prep ladder. So it's like, I think first you should experiment a little because there's not, you cannot like put those generalized things on. You have to personalize and customize it according to your needs, how you like it and everything. So yeah, that's definitely where your batches had an extra edge. You were not like, I think from first year now we have this pressure, but like your batch used to be like
had that pressure of like we like from our first year itself we need to go for these coaching apps. So like I remember I started using these coaching apps from my third year onwards. Till second year I had no coaching app. I used only these resources and all.
I think but like NExT is a huge reason why everybody's so scared. And there's so many changing rules and they concern your whole future, your future. And PG is something that shapes your whole life as a career. Right? So I think that's one of the reasons why students are so cautious and they just want to get things right from their first year itself, right away. And I think, especially at our college, it is because a lot of students, they feel that they have ended up at a deemed university. And for their PG, they definitely want to end up at a go. And it's a very vicious mindset, which I'm so proud that like right now we have you with us. This is, I think, one of like, by far, I've been in this college, one of those like nice to aim for us. And it is so important. And especially I think when I was having discussion with my team and how did we come up with this idea was because it is inbuilt and it is very sad that it is there. Like since it's just like it's an inbuilt version that it's just the government kids who crack these good tracks, Usually a lot of seniors, and it's something which I feel it should not be like that, but like even when they prepare, they aim for private colleges. They're like, you know what, government mein to ho nahi payega, so let's just have, I mean, I understand it's a practical and like for them it's working approach, but I've never been a believer of that. I'm like, if you're trying something, put your whole heart into it. And that's how exactly we came up with this idea that it is so important. 18 batches trying to talk to you, 19 batches trying to talk to you. But even given my batch and my juniors, it is like, it's just in air. Oh, there's somebody who has secured this time. And for some people, they're not very sure about like how much it is. So there's just rumors around and we just wanted to like project and channelize it into this one thing and like one more like motivation or inspiration that you literally did it, something that we dread since our first year and something that we are fed on since first year that this does not happen and you made it happen. So do you want to talk more about it? Like,
first of all, I would like to say that this is a wonderful initiative by you guys that, thanks so much. Like you're just kind of, just telling people that, this is just a notion that is there in our head. Like, I feel that since my first year as well, I thought that, okay, now I'm in a private medical college.
Yes.
And am I at par with the people in government medical colleges, So this is a notion that is always there.
It's fed by your relatives when you go back home. And that makes you feel like, oh, I'm less of a doctor. Which is the worst thing, right? And like I think maturity is when with time you realize MBBS is MBBS. They don't have an MBBS premium, and something you might have had a bad day or like this does not define my potential. So did you ever, when you came, I guess you might have been fed on the same as well?
Same, yeah. Actually, like, I feel it's more of a mental barrier that we have created, and also by the people around us, we are constantly made to feel that, okay, now you're doing your MBBS from a private medical college, deemed college, and so yeah, you will do your PG from there as well. Like this is a kind of a notion. And after I used to feel the same thing, and during my preparation also, I always had these doubts that, will I be able to clear it? People in government medical colleges are so intelligent. Am I at par with them? Will I be able to do it? I had these thoughts all the time during my preparation. But then I feel after clearing this exam, I have realized that it's more of a mental balance that we have created. There's no such rule, and it does not matter where you do your MBBS from. And honestly, like what worked for me was being consistent. I have been consistent throughout my MBBS, and I feel that is what helped me in achieving it. And honestly, if I can do it, anybody else can.
Yes, like that is like if anybody else says it's all right, but the day you start telling yourself that, oh, that's my limitation. I have experienced this so much when nowadays, even a person who is not even related to medical stream, they come and ask, oh, what are you doing MBBS? Which college? And then you tell the name, oh, it's a deemed college. And it's just their eyes that they look upon, and when you allow them to make you feel like that, it's like, then one day you're like, you know what, maybe I am not maybe in par with those government medical colleges, or those so-called prodigy Ivy Leagues and Ivy medical schools in India. But it is so important, and I think it's the little like achievement since your first year when you're consistent with it, and then you start building. Oh, I did great in the subject. I did great. Maybe I can, and that's how you break that mindset.
I feel like, having that confidence on yourself that yes, I will do it no matter what is very important. That day when you start having that confidence that, it doesn't matter if I'm doing it from a private college or whatever, but I'm going to crack it in PG. So that is when, I feel you will break all the barriers and you will get to where you deserve.
I think there are a lot of motivational videos for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about how. I think one of the very common questions which everybody might have for you is since when did you start preparing for NEET PG?
Yeah, so I would say that I started preparing for NEET PG from my third year onwards.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was when I purchased Marrow Plan C. So I have been a user of Marrow Plan C since third year. And that is when I started preparing for NEET PG. So, like, initially, I was just, getting used to, like, solving these MCQs and everything. So, in my third year, I only focused on the 3 subjects that I had. That was PSM, ENT, and Ophthalm. And I completed all the videos of Marrow, and I did all the, like, the MCQs related to those modules that I used to watch. I did that. And also, like, it was the lockdown period during our third year, so we had a lot of time. So I tried to cover a bit of anatomy as well because I was weak at it. So, I tried to cover up the first and second year subjects in which I thought I was a bit weak. So yeah, that was what I did during my third year.
Let's structurize this in terms of how and what priority did you give to pre, para, and clinical subjects. So if talking about NEET PG pattern, now that you have given it, what do you feel? What's the most portion that comes? Is it from the clinical aspect, or is it from the preclinical or paraclinical together?
I feel the clinical subjects are kind of more important for NEET PG, but your first and second year subjects are more important for INI-SET. So yeah, that is how it is, like the exam is structured. So your clinical subjects like medicine, surgery, OBGY, these are very important for NEET PG. And PSM is a very important subject for NEET PG. So these subjects constitute the majority of the questions that you get. And for INI-SET, it's the other way around. It's the first and second year subjects which are more important.
So, but like, did you like while you were like, okay, now USME is now that it's out of the scene and I'm focusing on NEET PG, did you make yourself sit down and be like, oh, that's my goal rank, or that's like my golden marks? And how did you devise your strategy for it? Do you want to talk about that?
I had a personal diary, and in that I've written dream All India rank 1.
Oh, I think
because that was like, you feel like, you want to do it.
Yeah.
And then I still have that. And after the result, I was going through it and I've written so many things in it.
I'm getting so much validation right now.
Because I've written all these things and I'm like, oh my God, when did I write all of this? So like, yeah, I always had this dream, and then I was like, I need to strategize. Like, I feel making a proper strategy is very important. You can't just go about like vaguely just reading
like,
things.
oh, I want a government rank, but
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah,
So like out of 800, how much can you talk more about how much do we need to aim if you want to get a government? Like, what is the rank like not score because score keeps changing with the ranking.
Yeah.
But if you talk about the ranking, how much do you think is the aim rank for you to not be anxious after the result whether I'm going to get a government seat or not?
See, honestly, I would say it more of like it depends on the branch that you want.
Yeah.
Because it is different for different branches.
Absolutely.
Like, so it will depend on the branch. But I would say a top 5,000 rank is a safe
Let's talk
rank.
about the most wanted branch nowadays, the radio and derma.
Yeah.
If you want to land into an all India seat of radio and derma, given not everybody has state code and clearly you did not have. So what is the government range of radio and derma?
See, I feel if you want to get into a good like government college in India for radio and derma, I feel a top 2,000 rank would be a safe rank.
Okay, it's a safe rank.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you talk about, let's talk a little about the surgeons.
Yeah. So for surgery, I feel a top 5,000 rank would be a safe rank to get a good government medical college.
And are you in sync with, if you wanted to end up in Delhi, how much did you need to like score for that?
Yeah, see, so honestly, it depends again, it depends on the branch that I want.
Yeah, for the radio and
Now,
derma, I'm
yeah.
asking, yeah.
So if I want a good medical college for radio and derma in Delhi, I need to have like, I guess without any quota,
Yeah.
I need to have a top 100 rank.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the seats are very limited. There's so much of reservation.
There's IPU
Yeah.
they just take everything and we are like,
And we are like general candidates, so we have
we
very
don't
less
have much
seats available.
available.
Yeah.
Right, I understand that. So, okay, in your head, but like I think a lot of students do struggle with what branch do they want to pursue. And it's, as seniors before NEET PG, they were, oh, we want to be surgeon, we want to be orthopedician and everything. And after they're like, I want to do the branch where I have to study the least. I cannot do this anymore in my life. So I think when you're preparing, you always have to aim for the safe rank.
Yeah.
That if I want to do surgery and I have 1K, I can end up over there. But if I change from surgery to derma and I have 5K, I cannot do that switch, right? So how did you devise, like, what is the marks proportion in NEET PG? Let's talk about it. Like, out of 800, how much is proportionate to in terms of clinical, pre and para?
See, it keeps changing every year because the number of students are increasing every year. The competition is increasing every year. So I feel that above 600 is a safe score, like, you know, to get the college.
No, I'm talking in terms of out of 800, how much is the portion for clinical subject? Like 200 to 300 marks are clinical hai, 100 marks ka pre.
See, we can't, like, that keeps changing on every year. So it just can't be like really defined as to like.
But like in terms of percentage, is it there? Like, can
you know, there's no percentage system in NEET PG. So it really kind of just, I think this is like, it depends on the, like, it changes every year.
Okay, but like, is it not like when you're preparing, you're like, oh, major, for example, 40% clinical subjects are there. So I need to focus more on them. 20%.
Okay, in that sense,
In
like
that
the
way, yes.
weightage of
Yes,
subjects.
weightage of the subjects, yeah.
Weightage of subjects. Right. So as I said, the clinical subjects are more important for NEET PG. So I feel you should focus on them more when you're preparing for NEET PG.
So when we talk, when you're telling that they're more important, how much is the weightage in terms of percentage? If you can give a rough idea out of.
Yeah. So I would say I feel 50% is from your clinical subjects.
That's a huge.
Yeah. That is a huge portion. Then I feel a major portion is PSM as well, and then I feel, I think 20 to 30% is from
Pre
your
and para including. Okay. But like if somebody is focusing on INI-CT and PG,
then it becomes opposite. Like for INI, it's your first and second years that take over.
It's like the balance, like it is so hard. I think for people to like make that balance. Did you give INI-CT as well?
No, it is in May. Right.
Okay, and you're preparing for that?
Not really. I mean, I'm not getting the time to prepare for it, but I've definitely given the exam. But then let's see.
INI-CT happens twice a year.
Yeah, it happens,
right? So this is your first attempt for INI-CT or second?
Yeah, first attempt.
And you can give the another one
in November.
In November. And when you give it right now, so you'll join the course. If for God's sake, like if you crack that, when will your NEET PG course begin?
See, right now the counseling has not yet begun.
For INI-CT.
For INI-CT, it will begin in July. Right.
And people who give in November, for them, the session would be
Jan.
So which batch will be there for
the ones who give
in November? Which batch will they enroll into?
No, actually, 1 year there are 2 batches.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So that's more like US, like there's summer, okay, and there's spring and their winter admissions. Okay, makes sense. Absolutely. So, in clinical subjects, it's a lot, including first final and final year. In that, did you prioritize some of the subjects?
So like I feel that the major strategy that I had was to go through the previous year questions, like the previous year papers. I feel that is how we study for our university exams, right? So there is
You used to, not
we
me
used,
anymore.
we used to study like that. We used to see what previous year questions we are getting, and based on that we used to study. And I think you need to have the same strategy for NEET PG as well. So for every subject, now first of all, like talking about for every subject, I had a strategy that I need to first go through the previous year questions so that I have an idea what all they are asking in these exams.
Absolutely, because I think medicine is so vast. No human brain has the capacity that they can contain everything.
Yeah.
You need to know what you need to learn and what depth for this particular competition I need to leave behind. And solving questions give you that edge key, or how does the examiner think and what questions that can I expect. So that's very important, I guess.
Exactly, it's very important. And what I used to do was I used to make these lists. So I have these we have 19 subjects, so I have these 19 lists of like all the previous year topics that have been asked. So like I feel for NEET PG, you need to have a minimum of 3 readings for your subjects.
Each subject.
Yeah, each subject. And then, so in the first reading, what I used to do was I used to go through the notes of that subject. Now, this is when I was preparing in my internship.
Okay.
I used to go through the notes of those subjects,
Which you already have.
which I
made.
already
Okay.
had made. Yeah. So I used to go through those notes, and then I used to solve the previous year questions, and I used to make a list that okay, these are the questions that are being asked for this particular subject. And I used to give one more day to just go through those topics from my notes so that I kind of know how to like what is important, what is not important. And I used to mark them in my notes. Now, the second time that I read those subjects, I would only go through those marked topics in my notes because the syllabus is so huge, it's so huge, you cannot do it like you cannot revise the entire thing in the last 10 days. And I feel that for this exam, it's important that you revise. Revision is very important because you will study throughout the year, but in those last 10 days, you will be so anxious that I don't remember anything, and it will become very overwhelming. So I feel the main strategy is to concise your notes so that you can revise those notes in that last 1 month, in those last 10 days of your preparation, right?
Yeah, like how I visualize it, like all the medicine is like a C.
Yeah.
And if you want to ace in any exam, you need to have the capacity that you can capsule all the C into that one, pill that you can go and just write it. And I think you did it great. And that's like revision, continuous repeated revision, where you're able to structurize in your head and then you're like, oh, I concised it.
So like I revised those same things because then I was like, I'm not going to study the entire thing because it's not high yield. I will only study the high yield things. And then at the end, I had revised those things so many times that, I remembered, okay, this was there on that page, this was there on that page. So you need to study like that.
Then even I think, ma'am, once you are very much in sync with the high yield, if if some topic which is a subset of it comes, and if you have not even studied, because you have that knowledge of high yield, you're able to make out like, okay, just with basic logic, I'm able to figure it out.
Yeah, because for MCQs, like the answer is there in front of you. You just need to find that answer, and you will easily be able to rule out 2 options. The game is like it lies when you can rule out the last 2 options which are there. And for that, I feel if you read the high yield topics, you can easily solve them. And your basic knowledge should be good.
I have a lot of seniors coming and they're like, if you want to study medicine, go with first aid and everything.
First aid, I would say it's a wonderful book. And I would recommend all my juniors to read first aid. I mean, I could not read the entire book, but then there were a few subjects that I studied from first aid. Like I studied biochemistry from first aid. I studied general path from first aid. And then micro, I studied from first aid. And so these were, some subjects which I did from first aid. And I feel I didn't have a lot of time during my internship to, just go through the entire book. But then I feel people who have time, people who are in their, second, third, final year, they should definitely read first aid.
Now that we are on the topic of time, let's talk about, I think, one of the main challenges a lot of students feel is and face is the the capacity to just sit with efficiency. How were you able to? I'm pretty sure initially when you might have tried, it's very hard to have that stamina that for so long you're tired from the college. A lot of things, you have to go through with room problems and a lot of things going on in the chaos. And then you have to make yourself sit with the efficiency that out of 1 hour, I have to eat 50 minutes out of it. So did you face those issues, and how, and if you did, then like how did you practice and like were able to?
Yeah. So like I feel time management is very important, and it's literally an art. You need to know how to manage your time.
Absolutely.
Now, see what and especially during your internship, when you have the internship duties and all, and you need to manage your studies with them. So I feel that what I used to do was, first of all, I never overburdened myself with a lot of topics and all. I used to, like, every morning I used to make like a to-do list for myself that these are all the things that I need to get done in this day. Now, I feel many people have been messaging me as well that, how did you manage it during your internship?
Yeah.
So I feel many 18 batch students.
Absolutely.
So I feel that, you need to structure your preparation like with the hectic internships like surgery, medicine, and all, with the hectic postings and all. You need to study the lighter subjects so that you don't feel overburdened. And with the lighter postings where you do not have a lot of work, I feel that is when you can do the major subjects like surgery, obs, gynae, and all. So you need to like kind of just decide that okay, this is the posting, like PSM postings, the rural postings that we have. They are very hectic postings.
Yeah.
So during that time, I covered all my minor subjects. Then when they were they were the postings which were not very hectic, during that time I covered like the major subjects and everything. So I feel you have to strategize, and you need to like structure your preparation like that. And then like during hospital duties as well, I feel whenever you're just going to drop a sample, whenever you're in the hospital just sitting idle, you can solve MCQs at that
Yes.
time.
Yes.
And Marrow has this option of custom modules. So I feel that is a very, like, I used to solve custom modules when I was in the hospital, when there was no work, when I was just made to sit in the hospital with no like work and all. So like that is when you can solve these MCQs and
I
all.
think these are tips for the
Yeah.
18 batch, which
18 batch,
is
yeah.
very stressful right now. Their NEET PG is coming. But one thing that you said, that even, when it takes discipline for you if you're sitting idle and not to fall into the trap of doing other recreational stuff, but rather deliberately choose yourself to go to and solve MCQs. So it's like, let's talk a little about your daily schedule. Like, as you talked about in the morning, you used to make a to-do list, which I think is very important, because first thing in the morning, when you have a little rough idea that, oh, this is the direction I want my day to move to, you have things to look forward to, and then you're able to prioritize as well. And it is said that like willpower is like every day you wake up with a limited source of willpower, so you need to prioritize, right? So how, when you were like, now I'm focused for my internship preparation, how did you structurize your day? Okay, yeah.
So like the first thing that I would like to say, that as you talked about discipline, I feel that discipline is much more important than motivation.
Absolutely.
Because you can't be motivated all the time.
Yeah.
You see a random YouTube video and you're like very motivated that I'm gonna crack it.
Really not best, yeah.
But then that's not always possible. So you need to have discipline in yourself. You can't always be motivated.
Absolutely.
So like my day used to start with, I used to make a to-do list for myself that okay, all of these things need to get done. Then I used to go for my internship duties that we had. Okay, so it used to start by like 9 or 10 in the morning. And I feel I used to get back to my hostel at around like 2 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. So then I used to rest for a while and everything, and then I used to start studying. Now, according to my to-do list, I had like, okay, now this is my subject for the day. So I used to complete those subjects. I used to, and also in my internship, I focused more on like reading notes and not going through the videos, because there's a
Yes.
limited time you have in your internship.
And I think it's very important to make a habit of reading, because nowadays people are just so focused on studying for videos, and they're effective though, but that seizes their ability to sit and study a book, right?
And So I used to focus mainly on reading notes during my internship, and at any point that I'm not understanding that concept, that was when I used to refer to the videos.
But like I think you were very meticulous while your third and final year, that by your internship you cleared your notes, right?
Yes.
So let's rewind a little and talk about, I think your schedule when you were in your third year would have been very different. So, and I think college has varied as well a lot. So how did you in your third year for 20 math students, how did you structurize your day? Like how was your day like back there?
Okay, so talking about, actually third year was our lockdown period. So
Okay.
we had a lot of time.
So let's talk about your final year.
Let's talk about final year, yeah. So final year, I mean, it was very exhausting. It is like the most exhausting year of your entire MBS. And then I used to come back to my hostel, I used to rest for some time. But then, you can't study all the time.
Absolutely.
You need to do some other activities and all. You need to have some recreational activities. You need to have a balance. So I would say, I don't believe in those people who tell that, you should study like 8 to 10 hours a day and all of that, because I have never done that. So I feel, even if you put in 4 hours every day in your final year, I feel it's more than enough. And, then use the rest of the day for your activities and everything, because you don't have to overburden yourself with everything and all. So, 4 to 5 hours is a safe time. And just get done with the things of that day and everything, and then just.
That is so interesting. Like once I was told this trick that keep two watches, one when you sit for study and one when you are actually studying, right? And then you see the difference that, oh, I sat for like 4 hours and my actual study time is like 15 minutes. And that's how you're able to track it down. And it is so important because people think like when you see the competition and you're like, oh no, I'm gonna go to the library set, and they're probably there like efficiency is so less, experiencing the burnout, but still they're just sitting right away. So it is so important to put it out there that it's not important about 8 to 10 hours and those.
No.
Yeah.
I feel like I used certain apps which also I would recommend to my juniors, there's an app called Forest.
Yes.
Okay, right?
I've used that.
So I used to use that app, okay? And with that, you're just away from your phone for that period of time.
And it feels so bad, like how cruel of a person I am that I killed that damn plant.
And there have been 2 or 3 times when I've planted my own tree, and it's like,
a baby to you.
Yeah, and it's like such a level of satisfaction that you get, that it shows that okay, this is a real tree that you've planted.
Yes.
So I feel that's a very good app for focusing and all. Then there's Zen mode on your phone that you can use to stay away from your phone. So these are some things which you can use to cut down the distractions.
And talking about distractions, were you on social media during that time?
Yeah, actually, I was there. I used to use the social media apps, but then I had an Instagram account, but that was only limited to the study grounds that, I used to follow. But then also, on that also, sometimes you get a little distracted and you start following other things.
And nowadays, the reels and everything, it is so
addictive. And I read this somewhere that if you make a thing one step longer, you will start doing it less. So for example, I'll tell you, for Instagram, what I did, I uninstalled. I was like, I'm wasting a lot of time on this app. So I uninstalled the app on my phone and I started using the Chrome. Like the browser version of that. So every time I had to use it, I had to open Chrome and then log in on that app. So I was like, sometimes I was like, just let it be, I'll just study. So that way you can kind of just cut down your distractions.
Yeah. So in final year, definitely it would have been more hectic. And I think the paradigm that you guys were for a long year at home during COVID, and then suddenly the burnout of having a full-fledged college schedule, it would have been definitely very hard for you. So when you were in your final year, how much portion did you cover your first, second, third year by then when you were in your final year?
No, actually, I focused only on the major subjects which were in the final year. I skipped the minor subjects I was like, I'll do these during internship because I didn't have a lot of time back then. And then, so I covered medicine, surgery, obs-gynae and pediatrics and ortho during my final year.
So by cover, you mean you prepared your notes from the Nbaro?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then after that, like I didn't focus on, like I didn't get the time to study first, second, third year subjects and all. So all of that I didn't. Like third year subjects I covered during third year itself. And first and second year subjects I didn't cover like from these coaching apps per se. Like, you know, I used other resources. So that was when like I did them during my internship time.
During your internship, okay. So what message would you like to give out to the students who might be in their final year and have not really, like, you have this feeling, oh, like they might get this, that, oh, she was always on the track, had prepared.
No,
What about them who have yet a lot of backlog running around?
See, it might seem that like I studied a lot, but it was not that case. I have also had many, like I've had months when I've not studied, like even during my internship as well, I've not studied for entire month. And like, so I feel, you know, it's more of like, I feel you should not overburden yourself. Just go according to your pace. You know, everybody is different. And just go according to your pace. Just decide, okay, this is what I want to do, and just achieve those targets and reward yourself when you achieve those targets. And you know, just don't just keep studying, don't take a lot of stress on yourself. You know, it's just a part of your life, and it's not your entire life, right?
Yeah, I definitely agree to all the things that you said, but how would you like to, or what tips would you give them to how to get back on track and how to clear those backlogs?
So I feel that I would say that first of all, like as I said, I used to make to-do lists. So you need to decide that what all has to be done during that day, and that, you know, keep minimum targets for yourself, but then complete those minimum targets as well, right? So there's no point of just, you know, deciding that just overestimating your targets, that, you know, all of these other things that I have to do, and then at the end of the day you're not done with those targets, and then you're like, you know, in that loop that I'm just not able to do things.
So, like, even in your to-do list, did you always had like, oh, this is something that I'm looking forward to, this is the topic that I need to do, and one topic that is from the backlog? Like, did you used to structurize it like that?
Yeah, actually, I used to make it like that I have to study that subject for the day. And also, I used to revise, like whatever I have studied, like maybe one week back, I studied something. So after 1 week, I made sure that, okay, I look at it and, you know, I revise those things again. Because if
But it just takes too much of energy. Like,
yeah, it does.
Just when you have to revise, especially I feel this huge resistance when I have to do this, and I think it takes a lot of consistency. It's like finding Nemo, keep swimming, and just revise if you have to. It does not matter that way.
I feel like you need to decide, okay, these are the volatile topics, and I need to keep revising those topics again and again. And so that, like that way, you can make a list that, okay, these are the topics I keep forgetting. And then you need to just, like, you know, after 1 week, you can revise that topic. Or when you're doing nothing, you're just like, when I didn't feel like studying, I was like, okay, I just revise one thing. Like, okay, I'll just do this one thing, and then I won't do anything else.
So, like, decrease your target a little
yeah,
bit.
exactly. Decrease your targets, achieve those targets.
And then you feel so content.
Exactly. And reward yourself.
That motivates you to, like, no, maybe I can take a step further next time. And talking about that, like, you must have experienced those burnouts while you were studying, right? So how did you overcome with those?
Yeah. I feel, you know, talking about burnouts, it's a thing that most people don't talk about. Like, they talk about how to study and everything, but it's a very good topic that you've brought. And I feel that, you know, taking breaks is very important. You can't keep studying all the time. You need to take breaks for yourself. Even during my internship, when, you know, when I thought that, okay, this is getting too much for me, I used to just take a break. Like sometimes that break extended for 1 month as well. I didn't study for 1 month, but then I thought it was like essential for my mental health, because, you know, you need to keep a check on your mental health as well. You can't keep studying all the time, and, you know, you need to decide, okay, I can't do this anymore, and like I'm not able to do this, so I'll just take a break for a while, and maybe, like, you know, I'll just recharge myself, do the things I like and everything, and then maybe we can get back to studying later on. So, you know, that is how I structured it. I was like, if I was like, I felt that I'm not able to do this, I used to take a break, and in that break I used to do all the things that I love. I used to like play guitar, I used to sing, I used to talk to all my friends, and, like, you know, just do things that you love, and it will make you happy.
It's so hard to, like, but do it. But once you're in that loop, I don't want to do anything. You don't even have the energy to play a guitar. It's just, you have to just push yourself.
You have to push yourself. You have to do things that make you happy, and, you know,
just especially when you are at a comparatively isolated place like this, it becomes so important and so tough at the same time that it's very rare that most of the people indulge themselves into the wrong recreational pathways. But I'm proud that you made great out of that. Anyways, let's talk a little about subject wise.
Yeah, sure.
Let's talk about first about the interns. What would you tell them at this point, and how should they devise their 1 year strategy for NEET PG?
Okay. So for the interns, I would say that you need to do 3 readings. Okay. You need to do 3 readings plus a last 10-day revision. Now, in the first reading, you need to go through the notes of that subject, and you need to, like, just don't think that, okay, I'm not remembering this stuff, because, like, I told the 18 batch people that, you will feel like till the last day also, I felt that I don't remember stuff, right? So it will always happen. So you got to trust your brain that, okay, I've studied this, I remember this. Then, so that is your first reading. Now, your first reading has to be of 3 months. In these 3 months, you need to complete your first reading of all the subjects. Now, by first reading, I mean for the minor subjects, I feel you can go for the revision videos on Marrow, which are like, a concised version of the things that you have to do. So I feel the revision videos would be more than sufficient for the minor subjects. And for the major subjects, I feel we, have those notes since our final year itself. So you can just go through the notes once. And in this first reading, as I told, like, I had these 19 lists of the previous year questions, right? So you need to prepare this list for yourself, and you need to decide that, okay, these are the topics that I'm going to focus on. Now,
but this also included those subjects, as you said, that your pre and para was not prepared. So, like, you had, oh, the subjects that I've done, I'll revise, and the subjects that I've not done, I have to cover.
Yeah, I have to cover them. Right. So, the subject that I hadn't done, I watched the videos again of those subjects, right? So that was that case. And basically, I feel like after every subject, like, you need to assess yourself. So you need to give a subject-wise test after every subject. Like, there's an option of subject-wise tests on Marrow. So you need to give a subject-wise test to, like, assess yourself. Where do I stand in everything? And yeah, so this is what you have to do in the first 3 months of your preparation. Then in the next 2 months of your preparation, you have those lists that you have prepared, and now you only have to study those topics. Now you have to skip out the rest of the topics because you can't study everything.
It is so important to realize that, like, कुछ ना कुछ तो छूटेगा,
exactly. कुछ ना कुछ छूटेगा. You can't study everything. So you have to study only those things and only the volatile stuff that okay, which you did from your first reading. Okay. So that thing you have to carry on onto your second reading. And then in your last reading of, like, the last 1 month, you have to do only the previous year question topics and only, like, the very limited things, because you can't study everything. Absolutely. So right, you have to, like, in every reading you're just concising that thing into, like, now talking about obs gynae. Suppose obs gynae is a very important subject. So what I did was, in Marrow, I feel there are thousands of notes, like thousands of pages of notes, like that we have. So using those notes, I created my concised version of, I feel, 40 to 50 pages. Like, I concised those notes into 40 to 50 pages, and I read only those things during my last 10 days. And all the questions were from there only. Because, you need to know that, okay, it's not a very difficult exam. If you plan it right, it's not very difficult, and you have to just concise it in every reading, and depending on the, like, previous year topics, and then you have to just keep revising those things again and again. So, like, in the last 10 days, so these are about the 3 readings, and in the last 10 days only, like, go through your bookmarked questions that you've bookmarked on Marrow, only some of the topics that you thought in those readings that have to revise those topics again. So the basic strategies in every reading, you're just concising your
more and more, and like how we talked about from the C to a capsule, you have to reach there. Okay, let's talk about for the final years, which have first of all, there's this anxiety around whether it's going to be NExT or NEET. So keeping that aside, for final year students, how would you, because what I understood from your internship strategy was that by your final year, at least the major chunk for the NEET PG, you were done with making notes and first reading. So I think for them it will be important, or it would, like, be key. Let's just get done with the major part so that you don't have the burden in your internship first reading, as you said. So let's talk about that.
So for final year students, I would say that focus on your main clinical 4 subjects that you have, that is medicine, surgery, obs, gynae, and peds. Now for my final year, what I used to do was every day, I feel, I mean, not every day, but then I used to study for like 4 to 5 hours a day. And then I I used to like decide, okay, now this, suppose I'm giving 1 week to CBS. So like I'll decide that every day, okay, these are the videos that have to be completed. And with that, I used to solve the MCQs as well. So I feel, in your final year itself, you need to start inculcating the habit of solving MCQs. So just decide your topic for the day that, okay, this is the thing that needs to be covered, and then complete those videos and solve their MCQs on that day itself. And I feel, whenever you have any kind of doubt, like don't just leave it there. Go to YouTube. There are, so many videos available on YouTube and all. There are so many good channels. So never leave a doubt there. Just go on YouTube, search it, and, solve it out there and then. So that is what I would recommend to the final year students, that, focus on your, like, the videos and your MCQs.
Was there a major chunk focused on revision as well?
Yeah, I mean, not in final year. I could not revise that much in final year because we had, like, exactly, there was a lot of syllabus, and, everything was a bit new and everything. And so I could not revise properly in final year. That is why I faced a lot of difficulty in my final year exams as well. So I feel that was something which I wasn't able to do. So I was like, in my internship, I was like, okay, no, this was something which I couldn't.
Let's talk about revision. I think there are a lot of students who are like me, and we face huge issue while revising. How, like, was it like just notebook revision which you used to do?
Yeah. Now, see, basically, there's a thing called active revision.
Yes.
Now, I would like to talk about an app called Notion. Okay.
Okay.
Now, Notion is an app. I created this thing for myself. Like, basically, what it was that, there are flashcards in that app. Now, whenever I used to, like, just study something, and I was like, okay, now this is something I will definitely forget. So I had those folders for every subjects on my Notion. It's a wonderful app. You can customize it.
I think it's very similar to Anki. Have you used Anki?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. So you can customize it yourself, as per your requirements. And then I had these folders, and for every, like, thing, when I thought, okay, this is something I'm definitely going to forget, I used to put it there. And, every time, like, there were flashcards created. So
and then they're like, I don't know about that, but like in Anki, they're like, you grade them 3 to 1.
Yeah.
So like the one which you want, yes. And then afterward, it's fun. It's like
yeah, it's like a game. I mean, you just think of the answer and then you just click
and
it,
then
and
you
the
just feel
answer
so proud, like, oh, I remember this.
I remember this. Yeah. So I feel, active revision is very important. For that, you can use apps like Anki and like Notion. I use Notion for that. So I feel
I'm glad that we talked about it. Like,
yeah.
Because revision is such a huge challenge. You need to either be creative about it, else that can make you or break you.
That's true.
Okay, so I now coming to my batch, which is so anxious at this moment, like what to do with. We're at this very exciting phase where we are looking forward to our PG career.
Yeah.
So a lot of them are in their deciding phase that whether we should purchase all those narrow, ladder, dams, and how should we get, like, even right now I'm not on board with it. So what's your tip for me?
Yeah, so I feel third year is a good time to, like, start using these coaching apps. And I feel you would, like, buying any coaching app, it's up to you what you want to buy. Like, there are many options out there, and I feel at the end of the day, the information that all of them provide is more or less the same. So it doesn't really matter where you did your coaching from. It's just that, yeah, third year is a good time to buy these. And then I would suggest, like, to the third year students that, focus on your subjects that you have right now.
Yeah, this is so much around the year nowadays. Most of the seniors come and tell us that, oh, finish medicine or surgery in your third year.
Yeah.
Would you recommend that for us?
I don't think I would recommend that, because what I did was I focused more on, like, the third year subjects and the first and second year subjects in which I wasn't good at. Because these first and second year subjects, they somehow, like, they form the base of your medicine and surgery.
Yes.
So I feel rather than going into medicine and surgery, it's better that you cover the backlogs that you have from first and second year if you have time in third year.
Yes.
Yes.
And nowadays, there's a lot of change in the policies, and then how they're coming up with revised schedules. So we have a lot of less months. Like our third year is just 11 months long. Okay. It started in January, and we have a tentative date of university in November end, and it's like I don't have any time at all. So it's very important at that point, maybe just to focus in third year right away.
Yeah.
And your pre and para wherever. And even for people who are preparing for Emily, in their third year, if they seek on giving their step one, so Emily step one is all about pre and para.
Yeah.
So I think that will cover NEET, PG, and Emily as well. Now coming to our very over enthusiastic 21 and 22 batch. something, or just let them have fun?
Yeah, I mean, don't over stress, okay? Like first and second year is for like, just don't leave studies at all, but just
Explore.
don't keep exactly explore your resources, research about various. These days there are so many resources that are available, like as we talked about Pathoma, Sketchy Micro, there's
Dr.
Dr.
Najib knows. Oh
Najib.
my gosh.
He
He's
is
God.
amazing.
Yes.
I have his lifetime subscription of his app. Yeah. So like he is so amazing, like the things he taught, like he taught about murmurs and everything. I still remember those things.
I know, right? Like
Yeah.
I studied kidney from him, and in backwards like lung or kidney,
Yeah.
and usually people do lung. And I
Mm.
was so confident. I was like, I don't even need to worry about it. I was just sure.
He is
Yes.
amazing. Like,
Absolutely.
so just research with these resources, because don't go for the conventional coaching apps and also for
Yes.
first and second year I would recommend that
Experiment,
just
like,
experiment with your resources.
Be
like,
more subject specific,
Exactly.
not like a generalized, oh,
Yeah.
I'm getting marrow, but more like what suits me more for anatomy.
Yeah.
Like I remember I studied neuro from Dr. Najib in first year, and it covered neuro of both physiology
Yeah,
and anatomy.
right.
And it was so amazing. I was like, wow. So that's one important
Yeah,
thing.
there's like Kaplan videos like for the USMLE which
Yes.
they use and all. So I feel these are very good resources, and I think the first and second year people should be restricted to like these resources. Not They should not
like
go
let them
behind coaching
personalize
apps.
and customize
Yeah.
according to their speed, their pace, their brain capacities.
Yeah.
Not just blind going over their seniors are telling to say as well. And I think for them, NExT is definitely getting implemented, and NExT has a very clinical approach, which NEET did.
Yeah.
Although they were kind of like copying, like given the recent trends, there were a lot of clinical subjects, like clinical questions. I'm so sorry. But with NExT, I think they're gonna hardcore get into.
It is.
And now that they're collaborating INICT and NEET, so it's gonna change a lot.
Yeah, it is going to change, and I feel it's going to be more clinically oriented. And I feel for that you need to have a very good grasp over your first and second year subjects. And for that, like if the people use these resources, I am damn sure that their basics are going to be like strong, so they won't have a problem with that.
Yeah. Before we wrap this preparation thing, I think one major important part, although we do have time constraint, did you suffer or did you struggle, rather be the right word, with anxiety during your preparation time or during your MBBS life?
Yeah, so honestly, I did struggle with it during my final year exams. I went through a really bad phase in my final year exams because I could not cope up with the stress, and it was the first time that I was just
experiencing it.
And I had so much stress on my mind. I was like, how do I handle all of this? So it got very difficult for me, and that was the time I realized, like, my parents had to come here, and it got very difficult for me at that time. So that was the time I realized that, okay, like, I need to get better at this. I need to improve myself. So, like, in my internship, like when my internship was going, this was the thing that I said to myself in my internship, that, I'm not going to repeat those same things again, which I did during my final year, because I'm not going to take that much of stress in my life.
Very dreadful experience, and you hate your body experiencing, especially when you feel your heart palpate to that level.
Exactly. I could not sleep the entire night before my exams. I used to have palpitations all the time, and I had never experienced that.
Like, I don't deserve this.
Yeah.
At that point, you're like, I'll do anything to any extreme where I can change. Yeah. For this not to happen.
And like, it's a very bad phase to go through.
How did you like, because how I see even medical students in general do suffer with anxiety at a point in their life. How did you overcome when you were like, oh, I don't want to feel it back again? Yeah.
So, like, first of all, I used to do a lot of self-talk, okay? Like, I used to tell myself that, I used to calm myself down that, okay, this is going to be okay. You're going to do fine. You're going to do it. You don't have to worry and all. So, I used to do a lot of self-talk, which used to help me. Then I have great friends around me, so they also helped me with it. Whenever I used to like not feel good, I used to call my friends and all, and they used to help me with it. I also used to I saw this on YouTube, like about breathing exercises and all, like whenever you're facing anxiety and all, you can do these things. So I used to do that. So that was a way I kind of tried to relieve my anxiety. And then one thing I thought that okay, I was like, okay, I'm preparing for this exam and it's a very important exam, but then it's not my entire life. It's a part of my life. There are much bigger things that you're going to experience in your life.
Like, you have to practice calmness, I think. And there's this very beautiful quote called as the beauty of nothingness. So with time you have to,
Yeah.
in the morning you have to take a good chunk.
Yeah.
You just tell yourself, it's all right.
It's
you're
gonna
do
be
great."
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I was like, okay, this is just a part of my life. There are gonna be much bigger things in my life. So I was like, I'm not gonna take that much stress on my mind. And like even before my exam, like you start to experience all these things, like you get like stressed before your exam. So
Absolutely.
even before my NEET PG, I went with the mindset that okay, like I have given my best, I have done my best. Like इतना ही I could do for my preparation. I was like इससे ज़्यादा मेरे से नहीं हो सकता.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, I have done this much. Now it's up to God. Okay, now I was like, कि ठीक है, we'll see. Even if I don't crack it this year, I can study for another year and I can give it again. I can
But I
give
think
it.
it is so important that you had the feeling that I have given my best.
Yeah.
Usually, anxiety stems from when you know that you have lagged somewhere and you're self contemplating that why did I not give my best. So I think it is so important to have that within you that, oh, I gave my best, and at this point, it's beyond. It's क्या ही होगा, drop ही देना होगा ना यहाँ पे.
Exactly. So why? Because I experienced all these things in my final year, so I was like, okay, I've learned a lesson now.
Yeah.
Now I'm not going to repeat these things. So in my even before my exam, I was like, I've given my
So
best.
in your final year, did you experience these because you felt that you lacked in your preparation a little? Or
Yeah, I felt there was so much stress. I thought I'm not able to complete the subjects. I'm running behind my schedule, and all of these things just came together. And it is the first time in MBBS when you feel that there is a lot to study.
Yes.
Because your first, second, third year is also comparatively like you just sail through. It's fine. But then in your final year, the subjects are so huge.
Just
the it's so huge. So you're like. You just get very overwhelmed with everything.
Absolutely.
So like that is why maybe I experienced all of these things. I was like, I'm not gonna repeat these things again. So like yeah, in my NEET PG, I was like, I've given my best, and now it's fine.
Okay, now I think we have covered enough about how to do the revision, how to be innovative about it, how to get that consistency and have that discipline, and we have talked about what to focus on, what not to, and everything. Let's talk about some of the future plans.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself now next year? Which residency? I mean, which?
So basically, I've always wanted a life with a good work-life balance. Like I researched a lot about it and I was like, okay, I don't see myself in a field like working all day long, working continuously, night shifts and everything. I think I won't be able to do that. I need a field with a good work-life balance. So I've like narrowed down myself to like two fields, which are radiology and dermatology. And like I'm still a bit confused because my heart says derm but my mind says radio. So I am kind of confused.
It's money versus heart, right?
So I'm a bit confused, but then I'm planning on like our counseling will start, I guess, from July or August. So I still have time, so I'll research more about it.
And definitely.
Yeah.
So, do you think that you might end up in your home state for the
No, I don't think I would get a college in Delhi.
Yes, I know.
But I just hope I get into a good government medical college. That's all.
So, Mumbai maybe we are aiming
Yeah,
for?
like maybe we can get the state, like I can get the state quota because I've done my MBBS in Maharashtra. So maybe I can get a college in Mumbai, but it's all, you don't know when the counseling starts and everything is very blurry right now. So let's see like what happens.
And all I see radio and derma is ki needs super specialty ke taraf.
Yeah, exactly. These are end branches.
Yes.
So that makes them more attractive because all the top rankers want these fields these days.
Yeah, nowadays.
Yeah, so like it is difficult,
But it is a little sad that when you see not a lot of people going ahead with search. I mean, I understand with the work life hectic and everything it comes from, but it does show how the youth is thinking nowadays, maybe.
Because of like the culture in India is also like the way people are treating the doctors these days, the violence and everything. I think
that's a topic for a whole another podcast. That is something it is so unfair, and at a point you, as a medical student, you just feel so enraged when stuff like this all shouldn't be happening when it's happening. I think with this we will wrap our session. It was so nice to have you on board.
Thank you so much.
And all the best for your future endeavors. And I hope we get to see you soon and this amazing news that maybe you might end up at
Thank you so
Bombay or some really nice government medical college. Thank you so much for being on this speech.
Thank you so much.
And thank you so much to my team, which is so dead right now.